I'm James Tanner, and I'd like to welcome you to Quick Views of Genealogy. Hi, this is part 3 of the FamilySearch Research Wiki. In this segment, I'm going to be talking about the structure of the Research Wiki and explaining a little bit more about how it operates and what some of the menu items are. This particular series will probably go on for a while since the wiki is fairly complex. It's really easy to use, but it has a lot of different parts, and if you're going to contribute or edit to the wiki, then there's a lot of things that you need to know. So let's get started. Right now we're looking at the FamilySearch Research Wiki startup page, and that's on familysearch.org. And in previous segments on the Research Wiki, I've shown how to get to the startup page. Now, one thing about the view of the wiki, depending on your browser and some of the other settings that you might have, there's a sidebar that's called the Navbox, N-A-V-B-O-X, that parks itself usually on the right-hand side of the page. But in this case, the Navbox has been pushed to the bottom. I've tried widening the screen and doing a few things, but it seems to be pretty random. I haven't figured out why the Navbox parks itself down at the bottom of the page sometimes. It's not really a problem. You just need to know to go look for it. The Navbox consists of a number of different parts. Each of those parts can be opened or closed by a little tiny triangle that's practically invisible over on the right-hand side. If I click on any of those little triangles, then I'll collapse down the list down to the basic list of items. So you can see there are five different sections here: research articles, volunteer, views, toolbox, and personal tools. If you look, once again, expanding each one of those sections will give you all of the subparagraphs. In my last segment, I talked about the view section and went through each of the various views of the pages. So there's some things, though, that we also need to understand about how the wiki operates. The wiki is made up of pages and articles. The technical difference being that articles contain content about genealogy. The pages contain help or instructions about how to use the wiki or how to access the pages. So basically, in the use of the two terms, they get used interchangeably. But when you go into the wiki and do a search, let's say I search for a state, and I'll just use Utah for an example, you'll get some interesting responses here at the top. What it says here at the top of the search page is current pages, multimedia, help and protect project pages, everything, namespace, and then the number of results for that particular search item. These options refer to a part of the wiki called namespaces. Namespaces are kind of like sub-organizational categories within a wiki program. So they can define different types of namespaces. You can think of it as a way to filter in or filter out results for searching in the wiki. Now, if I go back to the startup page and navigate to the bottom of the page, you'll find out that when you sign into the wiki, you'll automatically be assigned a user page. The user page will be entitled, have the title of your username. That means you have your own special page on the wiki that you can use for your own personal benefit, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But in reality, what it is a page that allows you to communicate with other users of the wiki and tell them about what you're doing and about your accomplishments. So if you click on that link for my own page, then you'll bring up my own personal user page. See, once again, the Navbox shows up at the bottom of the page. So the kinds of information that you'll want to put in here are things about your background and current projects, perhaps your education, if you published anything. Now, the reason for this is pretty simple. As you go around editing the wiki, and particularly in my position as a moderator of the wiki, it's important to let people know who you are, because they may not know what kind of qualifications you have for editing the wiki. Now, your qualifications may be in a certain area, like, for example, you may be an English major or have a pretty good command of the language, and you go in and start correcting spelling and grammar. That's perfectly acceptable. But if you're going to be editing a lot of different pages throughout the wiki, then it's probably important to at least identify yourself so that people will not be, let's say, offended by your making changes. Although there is a basic rule of the wiki that no pages are owned by anyone, that everyone who contributes basically relinquishes any ownership of the wiki, it's still kind of a good PR thing to have some background that shows why or how or for what reason you might be in there working on the wiki. These user boxes over here on the side are available if you've gone to certain training or if you're participating in certain things. They let people know different things that might affect the way people view you as a user of the wiki. Obviously, you could leave this page blank, but if you do, you'll probably get an invitation from the welcoming committee for the wiki to put some information at least on this page. The one important thing is that if you're going to do any editing for the wiki, it's very important that you have some place to be contacted, email preferred, obviously, because that people are going to come back and ask you questions perhaps about what you've done. Let's go back to the startup page and look at the Navbox again. The Navbox also, if you'll recall from previous segment, or if this is your first segment, you wouldn't recall it, obviously, but there is this thing called discussion or talk. Those are both words used to refer to this. The discussion page lets anyone who is going to make changes or has questions about the page or simply wants to ask a question of the administrators or moderators of the wiki, they can put a question on any talk page for any of the pages in the wiki. So if I go back, for example, and navigate to the Utah page by typing in Utah in the search box and then clicking on the Utah page link, I'll find down at the bottom of the page here the Navbox with a discussion page. So if I had any questions about this page, I could simply edit this page after I'm signing in and add in my question to that discussion or talk page. Now, when you look at the title of the talk page, you'll see that it says Talk:*Utah. Well, the talk portion of that is the name of the namespace. That's N-A-M-E-S-P-A-C-E, just like it sounds. The namespace where this particular page lies. It lies in the talk namespace. Now, why do you care about namespaces? Well, when you sign into the wiki for the first time, you will find out that there are certain kinds of pages that you won't be able to see. And one of those is when you go to your preferences, if you go down to the, I may have done that a little too quick, I'll back up and show you. On your personal tools, which are at the bottom of the Navbox, the last segment down here, once you create a user page, you can also go look at your preferences. You can go to the preferences whether you create a user page or not, but it's a good idea to have a user page to start from. And one of those preferences is going to be your editing preferences. Those editing preferences can get pretty complicated, but there's a lot of different selections that you can make. And also you have what are called search options. The search options, say that fast 3 times in a row. Search options are those different namespaces that are searched if you're there on the wiki. So you can see there's quite a few different ones. I pointed out the talk one. There's user talk, research wiki, FamilySearch Wiki, Wiki talk file. When you sign into the wiki for the first time, there's only about 5 of these that are going to end up being checked. So you're not really going to see a lot of things like the policy and the portals and the categories and things like that that are part of the structure of the wiki. If you intend to do any editing in the wiki, I suggest that you may want to search in all the namespaces by checking the top box, or just simply check all the boxes. When you do that, as you search in the wiki, you'll be able to search all of those different kinds of pages, and they'll all show up in the different categories. Now let's go back to my Utah page, and let's do a search for business records. Let's go to United States business records. Okay, when you get to this page, let's go back to first of all to the search. That'd be a good idea here. You'll see that up here at the top, there's all of these different categories are underlined. The reason why my everything category does not come up with a selection is because I have everything checked in my preferences boxes. So everything is being searched already. So I do that as a matter of course if I'm editing the wiki because I want everything to show up. I don't want to have any of the pages that are in the wiki to be excluded from my searches. So the other ones, if I clicked on those, would limit the number of responses. So if I click on current pages, then the number dropped from over 3,000 down to just under 3,000. If I click on multimedia, it'll drop way down. There are only 10 multimedia devices. So you can see that clicking on or selecting different namespaces affects the way that you find things in the wiki. Okay, now we're going to talk about some other things in future segments. Particularly, I'd like to cover how to do searches and what you can expect to find in the wiki. So tune in. I'll try to do another segment probably in the week to come.